This guy says the horse can do. If he says the horse can do, can do.
Welcome to Odds and Ends from the NFL Scouting Combine in Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm Mike Tice, your host. I've got some picks for you this week. We're going to start with the XFL week number 4 in their 10-week season. Also, I'm going to pick the Fountain of Youth Stakes from Gulfstream Park in Florida. The Grade 2 $400,000 mile 16th race has Kentucky Derby points on the line. Let's start with those Saturday XFL games. The 1-2 LA Wildcats coming off that big win over the previously undefeated DC Defenders. They're minus 7.5 point favorites. 2 p.m. on ABC Saturday. Nelson Spruce is number 2 with receiving yards of 256 yards. Also, Mike Stevens leads the XFL with interceptions with 2, and they're going to the Guardians, who are 1-2 and struggling mightily, only averaging 46 plays per game, only scored 4 touchdowns, and they've hit the under by a lot in all 3 of their first 3 games. Expect quarterback changes. Quarterback Matt McGloin is banged up. And I'll tell you, in that game, I like the LA Wildcats to travel to New York, minus 7.5, and beat the New York Guardians. The second game on Saturday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time on Fox TV is going to be an interesting contest. The 1-2 Seattle Dragons, who are getting Ruben Mileja back at wide receiver. He's missed all 3 games. The kid from Idaho's got a lot of speed. They're 1-2. They're traveling to the tough St. Louis Battlehawks, who lead the league in rushing. I almost said the Seahawks. The Dragons are number 1 in defense and tackles for a loss, which is important against a good rushing team. They also have Brandon Silver's number 5 in quarterback rating or quarterback yards with 512. And they've got Steven Johnson at linebacker. Steven Johnson leads the league in tackles, solo, and group tackles. He's doing a great job on defense for the Seattle Dragons. But can they stop that rushing game and that fast-paced offense? Well, 67.7 plays per game. Number 1 in the XFL are the St. Louis Battlehawks. 9 touchdowns to this point. Quarterback Jordan Teamo is number 2 in passing yards with 612. And Matt Jones, 224 rushing yards, are number 1 in the XFL. In that game, sorry, my man Jim's on, even though it's minus 12, I like the St. Louis Battlehawks to win a tough physical game. Minus 12, win and cover. We'll be back in a minute with my Sunday picks. Also includes one of the games includes my pick of the week. And then I'll hit you with the Fountain of Youth Stakes from Gulfstream Park. Many Derby points online, 50 points for first place in that game, in that race with Kentucky Derby qualifying points. We'll be back in a minute with more of Odds and Ends. Welcome back to Odds and Ends, and now for the Sunday XFL games. There's 2 really good games Sunday, including my pick of the week. Sunday, the 4 o'clock Eastern Time game on FS1. That's the 3-0 Roughnecks, the Houston Roughnecks, traveling to the Dallas Renegades, who are 2-1, coming off a big win in Seattle against the Dragons. The Houston freaking Roughnecks, 81.8% scoring touchdowns in the red zone. They've scored 13 touchdowns. They've hit the over in all 3 games. P.J. Walker, number 1 quarterback in the league, 748 yards passing, and Cam Phillips, number 1 receiving yards, 324 yards. But the Dallas Renegades have the Cameron Artis Payne's a number 2 rusher in the league with 185 yards, and Landry Jones, number 4 in passing yards, 579 yards. I don't think, in watching that game last week, I was at that Dallas-Seattle game, that Dallas is explosive enough. I like minus 1.5. I like the Houston Roughnecks to go to 4-0. In my pick of the week, coming off a big loss last week, the DC Defenders 2-1 are traveling to the 0-3 Tampa Bay Vipers. Although the Vipers are averaging 67.7 plays a game, the same as St. Louis is, they've got 2 rushers in the top 5 rushers, Devin Smith, number 3, and Jacques Patrick, number 5. I just don't see enough points being scored. Now, the issue with the DC Defenders is in the red zone. They're only 22.2% scoring touchdowns in the red zone. The quarterback, Cardell Jones, coming off a poor game, 4 interceptions. I don't see it happening again. I see them turning this around, and I like as my pick of the I love as my pick of the week the DC Defenders for the second week in a row. I'm picking them to go into Tampa Bay -2.5 and win that game. I'll be back in a minute with the Fountain of Youth Stakes from Gulfstream Park on Saturday. I'll see you in a minute. Well, welcome back to Odds and Ends, and now for the Fountain of Youth Stakes Grade 2, mile on the 16th at Gulfstream Park in Florida. $400,000 and 50 Kentucky Derby qualifying points for first, 20 for second, 10 for third, and 5 for fourth place. Big race. Lots of Derby implications going on here. Well, I'm going to pick Dennis's Moment to win this race. The 5-horse was the favorite, beaten favorite, poorly ran at Santa Anita in the Juvenile Cup, in the Juvenile, Breeders' Cup Juvenile in November. This horse is 2-1 in the morning line, trained by Dale Romans, ridden by Flavian Pratt. I like Dennis's Moment in this race. For second, I like the 6-horse, 9-2, as seen on TV for Kelly Breen. This horse is ridden by Paco Lopez. Was second last out in the Mucho Macho Man at Gulfstream Park. That's who I like for second. Third place, I like the 12-horse. I might like the 12-horse a little better if it wasn't in the outside post. Tough in the mile and 16th race. Chance It for Safi Joseph. This horse has been training like a monster. Tyler Gaffleone is up. This horse was first in the Mucho Macho Man last out. And fourth place, or in your exotics, I like Et Indienne for Patrick B. and Cone. This horse was second in the Holy Bull at Gulfstream Park to Tis the Law, which is a really good Derby horse. Florent Giroux will get the mount. This horse is 8-1. This is the 11 horse. So I like the 5 over the 6, 12, 11. I like also the other way, 6, 12, 11 over the 5. I hope all your horses are winning horses. I hope all your teams win. And don't forget this, I'd rather have a short price than a long face. We'll see you next week.
Can do. I pick Valentine 'cause I'm the more